Medic 3278P here. It's another rainy, cool day in the hills and hollers of eastern Kentucky. Back off work, back at the homestead today, doing a little bit of work on something a little different. One of our ambulances had an unfortunate run-in with Bambi the other day, and did a significant amount of damage to the front of the truck. We could find some of the parts already painted off of salvage vehicles in the junkyard, but we had to get a fender. The fender we have is pretty much wrecked, so being the jack of all trades, I'm going to paint this thing today. And I know you paint people out there are going to throw off because I'm very unorthodox, but my thing is every year these trucks get a new front end. That's a very common thing. We smash into wildlife seemingly every month during the spring and fall both with the apparatuses, and so it's just got to look good enough. Like a lot of things on the homestead, it's just got to be functional. So I know people are going to throw off on my paint and body work, but if it stays together and looks pretty good, it's going to be good enough. And so today I am painting this fender here. It's aftermarket. I've already got scribed out for the emergency light. As you can see, the other one's pretty twisted. Hopefully I can get this cut out in just a minute, get it painted, and we can get it back on the truck and get the truck back in service a day or so. Alright, all cut out. Now I got my red Scotch-Brite pad. I'm just going to scuff it up a little bit before I shoot it in primer. Once I get it scuffed, just going to take a little solvent, wipe it down. I give it a second to dry and hit it with some white primer. Okay, as you can see, I've got the fender and a couple coats of color match primer. Hopefully that'll flash up pretty quick, even though it's wet and nasty out, and I'll be able to get on to painting. I'm going to use my little Harbor Freight purple gun. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it or not, but it's one of the few things I've ever walked out of Harbor Freight saying, wow, that's a good product. Most of the time you go to Harbor Freight and you get exactly what you pay for. You're paying to haul off somebody else's crap. But with a little purple gun, I'd read a lot of reviews on it. I've got some friends that do paint and body, and they talked about using them for primer guns, this and that. And it's an amazing little gun. I use it all the time. If mine dies today, next time I'm near a Harbor Freight, I'll stop and buy a couple more of them. They're like 15 bucks. You can use coupons to get them. Here it is. One very wet fender. 3 coats of base, 3 coats of clear, no paint booth, cheap tools, but looks pretty good. Hopefully I'll be able to get this thing bolted back on tomorrow and have the truck back in service by tomorrow evening with any luck at all. So here's the thing. I've been very blessed to be born and raised where I have, with the family I have. My family's lived in the same area here for several generations, 4 or 5 generations, and each generation has stayed close by for the most part and picked up new pieces of land to expand the family farm. I don't know exactly how big it is all told, between grandparents, uncles, and then of course whenever I got out on my own, I bought my homestead. And the vast majority of the work I do is on my homestead, but we do have a farm shop. That's where I'm at right now. We keep quite a bit of stuff going on in here. Generally, me and my uncle are the more mechanically inclined. My dad and my brother, they're more operators. I'm not a lever man. I can, weld a little, cut a little, change a whole lot of parts. And you pick up various skills along the way out of necessity. And those skills are wonderful to use on everything else. Last year I completely stripped and painted our old 1970 model dump truck. Made it look like a brand new machine compared to the heap that it was beginning to look like. And I learned a lot about paint and body from that. My buddy Josh was wonderful about coming over and helping me out and kicking me in the ass to tell me I was doing things wrong. And so I picked up a lot from that, and I've done a lot of little paint jobs since then, mostly on my own stuff. I've painted a lot of our equipment, and so with the homesteading, if you're not willing to pick up new skills and learn new skills that sometimes you may not have any interest in, you're not going to make it. You have to be the master of your own destination. If you go into it saying, well, I'm just going to raise chickens or goats or whatever, well, that's fine, but what happens when you need to repair a pen? Are you going to call a carpenter? They're going to charge more than what you're going to make from your production. You have to learn how to do it yourself. And the great thing is things have been, handed down with me. And I use my great-grandfather's anvil. Several different tools like that I haven't had to go out and acquire myself. I love going and buying old tools, but for the most part, even though some of it may be crude, we have most of it here. And if not, then we make a lot of our own. Once again, I made it 3278p. I appreciate all the likes, shares. Feel free to comment. This is an ongoing project. Anytime I can get constructive advice, questions, anything like that, I appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful day. God bless.